Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Franti.
Welcome to the second half of the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, where we share with you what you need to know, want to know, and should know about real estate and finance and so much more. Now for over 4.5 years, that's right, we've been educating you and helping guide you to personal and financial wellness. That's our goal. And today we have another great guest. Hopefully you enjoyed the show with Cindy Lazinski talking about those fears about buying and why you should buy and how we debunk some of those myths and fears about buying. Right, Gino?
Yeah, and speaking of debunking those myths, Don, the best way I think we do that is we do that daily. We do that at the National Real Estate Cafe. So you could check that out at nrecafe.com. Or the best way is actually to text NREC to 58885. And what we do there is Don and I go over the financial markets, what's going on with, in these last couple of weeks, Greece, China, oil, Iran.
Interest rates, housing, stats, real numbers. We actually pull numbers from National Association of Realtors, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, you name it, we pull it out. It's not just two talking heads, it's great information. And you'll really know what's going on because the media likes to spin things.
Well, they have an agenda, Don, and they're always behind, or I shouldn't say always, but they tend to be behind the eight ball. They can't see what's happening in the marketplace. They don't
look at one report. They don't look at trends.
Well, in reports, think about how a report comes to be, right? Someone says, hey, it would be a good idea if we compiled information on this. And then you have to compile the information. And then once you compile the information, someone has to analyze it. And then someone has to put it into a pretty slide and then tell somebody to talk about it. Versus we see things happening live and direct in our marketplace
daily,
and so we could tell if application volume is up, we could tell if application volume is down, we can tell if borrowers feel confident or not, how people feel in their jobs. We talk to consumers on a day-to-day basis about their finances, so I think we have a good read.
No doubt. Well, today we have a great guest, and one of the most important aspects of all our lives, because pretty much everyone needs insurance. So why not have the best person you can to inform you about opportunities and options regarding your insurance. So we have our chosen expert, Mr. Carlos Villalobos with Carlos Villalobos Insurance. He's got 2 years in experience now, and just kidding, Carlos.
I only have 2 years.
2 years experience on the radio show.
Yeah. But Carlos literally has over 30 years experience. He's our chosen expert for America's Professional Resource Group. You hear us talk about it all the time. It's what we've chosen to put together. Consider we interview the very best of the best that Santa Cruz has in all aspects, financial planning. It could be bankruptcy attorneys, divorce attorneys, estate planners, you name it, we have it, college planners. It's all put together with a group called America's Professional Resource Group, and you can find out more by going to aprgi.com. aprgi.com. It has all these great professionals, plus the Vault magazine. It's a magazine that actually educates you. There's no ads in it. It's all education for such great professionals such as Carlos Villalobos. Thanks for joining us again, buddy.
Thank you very much for having me for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's been a privilege.
And you always have great information, and I like that we break it up into different aspects that a lot of you maybe don't know about. And you do a great job of just breaking it down simply. You don't go into any mumbo jumbo. You don't go into any sales pitches. You just tell them like it is. So today we have 4 topics that I'd love us to go into, which is renter's insurance, landlord insurance, up to 4 units. And then let's talk a little bit about, other than the normal trends about what's going on in the insurance you always update us in, but there's also the ability to get motorcycle insurance, very inexpensive, also for your dirt bike, which I have, and then a new...
Or two.
Yeah. And also a new way to be able to afford earthquake insurance that excited me, and I feel so much better about it. So let's just jump into renter's insurance.
Yeah, and this will be kind of you and I going back and forth a little bit, since renters and landlords are things I've been doing for 12 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think renter's insurance is so important, and yet less than 30% of renters have insurance for their personal belongings. Yeah. And they don't even know it's available. A lot of apartment buildings nowadays, they will not let you move in without having renter's insurance. So, and it's very economical. It can be less than $200 a year for up to $25,000 of personal property.
Yeah, and one of the things that people take into or don't take into consideration with renters is, as a landlord, if I have a flood and that flood affects your area and your personal belongings, I'm not liable. It says so in my lease that you should carry your own insurance to cover all your personal goods if something was to happen on my property.
That is correct. I mean, you were very smart in having a lease that says that, because a lot of people does not say that in the lease, and that's when you get into arguments. Renter's insurance goes beyond just covering the personal property. How about the liability? How about if you have a party, somebody trips and falls and says it's your fault? What if you talk bad about somebody? Slander. So that can all be incorporated into the renter's policy to have you protected properly.
Oh, and slander can be proven very easily today with Facebook.
or in our office.
That too.
That is so true. And if you look at your homeowner's policy, not changing gears here, but a lot of policies don't cover that. So you just need to add a rider to your policy to make sure that you're protected, because that is so common right now with Facebook or LinkedIn or anything else that you're on social media.
And that's why we have Carlos Villalobos at Carlos Villalobos Insurance. What's good is you don't just quote. You actually ask the questions and you find out more information to make sure they're actually covered. Because anybody can, I mean, you deal with it all the time. And sure, people go, oh, I got quoted this. How come you're so much higher? Or how come you are higher? Not always higher, but you can be. And a lot of times I've seen it where they can manipulate so many factors of an insurance quote to make it seem better.
You're absolutely correct. If the input that you're putting into the quoting system is the same with all the agents, the premium should be very, very close. What happens is that they cut corners to lower the premium. And, if you never use the policy, then no harm done, I guess.
Until you need it.
Until you need it. And then you realize, oops. So what we try to do is educate people and tell them what's available, what's not available.
What they should think of.
Yeah, the bottom line, it's
you
your
mentioned
policy.
Stuff like, hey, you can get I could have got a cheaper policy, but hey, if something does happen to your house, do you have loss of use? Where are you going to live? How are you going to live?
Oh.
If your house is being taken care of, it takes, like we just had one of our clients, 3.5 months he's been out because of a flood in his house. Basically, a pipe burst and took 3.5 months.
I was going to say, you got to clarify, it was not rain.
No.
Not rain related.
No, his name's not Noah.
So let's go back to that renter's policy, because you bring up a great point. What happened to that renter if the same thing happened and he has to go rent another apartment?
So I'm going to chime in on that. I had 2 renters. The one on the upper unit had insurance. The one in the lower unit did not have insurance. And both units had to be vacated for a little over 2 months while they were being rehabbed. And the one with no insurance actually had to find a different place and had to get the reimbursement of security deposit from me, and they didn't get any compensation for being displaced.
Correct. So that's why it's so important. You need to make sure that you have renter's insurance if you're a renter. It's not that much more. If you have auto insurance and you tie it in with your auto carrier, a lot of times it's less than $50 a year when you get that discount. So,
wow.
People
it's silly
just
not to then.
I agree 100%.
He's giggling, by the way. You can see that.
It's not giggling. It's more like be educated.
Right,
it's available. Get a quote. You don't have to do anything except get the quote to make sure it makes sense for you to have it.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned for under $50 a year. I mean, that's like a Starbucks budget.
Yeah, but keep in mind that I said you had to have your auto insurance with it. So, but even without auto insurance, you can get a tenant policy renters for under $200. In some cases, as little as $120 a year. That's $10 a month.
Yeah. So the moral of the story here is to
it.
definitely look into it. If you're renting, get a quote.
Yeah, especially let's say you have a child that goes away to college, and maybe they're living in a home, not in a dorm. So you might want to consider getting a renter's policy, because sometimes your homeowners will not cover all their personal belongings. There's a lot to take into consideration, but I think it's important to have renter's insurance.
Yeah, that's why, again, Carlos Villalobos Insurance, right here on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. All right, Carlos, so we kind of hit the nail on the head with how important and how easy, how inexpensive it is to get renter's insurance, and how it can protect you in multiple facets, not just your personal belongings. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how inexpensive you can get motorcycle insurance, whether it's for your street bike or dirt bike, which I am now covered. I am ecstatic, because if my bike got stolen, my motorcycle out of the back of my truck, I was out of luck. You could not for a long time get insurance on a dirt bike. Now you can. And then let's tie into something that you've also helped me take care of, that Gino's, I know, going to look into as well, is that there's new, unique ways to afford earthquake insurance. And I've been paranoid about it. because the expense of it before, but you came up with a new solution for me. So can we touch base on that when we get back?
Absolutely. Be happy to when we get back.
All right. So don't go away. We got great information that's going to change your life when we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.